Okay.
Whenever she's in the algebra class, which is a younger teacher, and the senior ability teacher is a young guy. Yeah.
My son's teacher. One of them said,
All the teachers are very involved. You can see why the kids are happy with the process. Yeah.
that's my middle is my, I remember. So, Jack's Baptist. Like I said, I have Michael, he's in sixth grade. He's just started. And Andrew is in third grade. Yeah, great. You know, it's hard.
Kids out my house.
I have twins. These are so much harder. He's right.
You know.
This is like 3 years old. That's his 8th grade picture. You can see.
Play sports.
He wants to do something. Because he wants to do something. That was a big deal. That was his
My kids here, they play soccer for little. It's like first grade. It's scary. It's like a long child. From the eye of
My son got exactly and it was just so I didn't have to do I think we have 2 questions right.
Okay, it's 10 after 9. Why don't we get started so we get you out the door? Just like church, plenty of seats up front. And there's no collection. My name is Albert Spiegel. I'm class of 95. I'm the director of technology. We're going to spend a couple minutes talking just about communication and grades and where you can find information about your sons. If you have a QR scanner on your phone, you can get a copy of the presentation. I can certainly send it out as well to everybody. So don't feel pressured to take pictures or take notes or anything. We'll make sure we get it out if need be. All right, so first thing, generally we send emails from PowerSchool. Okay, so report cards, news will generally come from PowerSchool. So the email address you provided when you applied, when your sons applied, okay? So mom's email address, dad's email address, they get every communication. And your son's Bergen Catholic email address gets every communication, okay? So it'll all come from noreply@bergencatholichs.org. Okay? Sometimes I get questions of, I got this email, but I didn't get that email. Okay? I can see when email leaves, okay, but I don't know what happens to it when it leaves. Okay? So definitely want to put this address in your contact list. Okay? Whitelist it. It's a safe address. We're not going to spam from that address. Okay? Anything that comes from no reply is safe. Okay? Like by default, we will send you emails to mom, dad, and son. Okay? So any emails that come from Power School, any emails that come from Constant Contact, which we will send the athletics newsletter, the Brotherhood newsletter, which went out. The Brotherhood went out today. Okay? That will come from Constant Contact. Okay? Same 3 addresses. All right? So if as long as you've gotten at least one, okay, it works. Your email provider might find that if you get a lot from no reply, it might think it's spam. So by putting it in your contact list, you can avert that. Okay? We'll send out emails. Generally, newsletters depends. Once a week, we're working on a schedule of what's the best to send out. Right? So we don't barrage you with emails, constantly, unless it's something important. But generally, we'll try and save that stuff that's not so important for the weekly newsletters. Okay? For those of you that are freshmen, we have tech support available for your sons. Right? Please do not feel that they can't get questions answered. Okay? I know the demand is kind of diminished now a little bit. I know the first weeks, the guys were inundated with questions. That's calmed down. Mr. Patton, Mr. Mugeo, and I have 4 students that work for me in the IT office. Right? They are the daily contacts. For the most part, there's someone always in the office. Okay? There may be a time where, I let Mr. Patton once every 3 hours go to the bathroom. Okay? But other than that, he's there. Mr. Mugeo is there. If you have questions, your sons have questions, they are the point people to start with. I can't get into Blackboard. I'm having trouble with downloading a test on ExamSoft. My iPad won't turn on, that kind of stuff. Okay? They are the point people for that. Right? Don't let small problems become big problems. Right? So if you're having a problem with your device, your son's having a problem, have them see the IT office sooner rather than later. Because a small crack on the iPad's going to become a big crack. Okay? So if it doesn't work now and then, it's going to stop working, and it's not going to work now and then. All right? So it's really important that they keep their device in good working order. They got to come charged every day. No discussion. Okay? Every day they should bring a charged MacBook and a charged iPad. Okay? And it's also important that they make sure whenever they leave someplace, they have their devices with them. Okay? One of the biggest things that we deal with, not is it doesn't work, but I left my iPad somewhere and I don't remember where I left it. Okay? So it's really important that they do that check. Whenever they leave a classroom, they've got their chargers, they've got their devices. Okay? And our office is right next to room 11, across from Dr. Mahoney's office, in what I would call the senior hallway. And like I said, 7:30 to 3, 7:30 to 4, depends on the day. But someone's always there to help. But they got to self-advocate. If they have questions, make sure that they come and see somebody. All right? So everybody over the summer got their Blackboard credentials. Blackboard is our learning management system. That's where you will find homework. You'll find grades. Okay? Blackboard is a collegiate learning management system. So it's geared towards the students. All right? Your parent accounts are observer accounts. Okay? Which means just that. You can kind of look at certain things. The iOS and Android apps for Blackboard are geared more towards the student. So when you go on with the iOS app with your account, you're not going to see grades. If you go on with a desktop browser, you'll see student grades. Okay? But don't be surprised when you go on with the app, you say, well, I didn't see anything. That's how Blackboard designs it. I don't have any control over that. Right? You could log in with your son's account, and you could see everything if you want to use the app, or you just go on through a mobile browser or a desktop browser. Every student has 2 observer accounts. Okay, so it's their student number. There's a 4-digit student number that begins with either 5 or a 6, underscore observer 1 or observer 2, and then you have a 6-digit password. All right? That's how you get on Blackboard. Right? That password won't change. It's always by default, that's what it's set to. Okay? So even if you change it, it'll go back and default to that 6-digit number. When you go on the top right, you'll see your name on the top right. If you hit that little triangle and bring down the menu, you'll get those 5 icons on the left. The one with the check and a plus sign is for grades. Okay, so what you'll get is a synopsis of all of his grades, okay, for each class. You can go by class, you can see everything in totality, right? So as you'll see, depending on the teacher, how they grade, if they put stuff in their grade book ahead of time as they go along, but you'll get an idea of what's there and what's not. If something's not there, you'll see the lines. If something's been submitted for grading, it's an exclamation point, okay? But you'll have a good idea of what's missing, what's not missing, if there's any issues with their grades, okay? Best thing to do is to bring that forward when you see the issue, not the day the quarter ends, okay? So there are times I've given kids grades, 10 out of 100, or I've marked a test 100 out of 10 points, and they're like, that's great, but I have a 537 average, and that's my fault, okay? But they tell me that right away, because they're on top of it, right? So it's really important that they're checking their grades, and also you're checking them as well. That's what the grades will look like. You'll see my grades on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, whatever class you choose, you'll see descriptions of any assignments that the teacher has in their grade book. Right? So it's beneficial to go on as much as you can to see their progress, and you'll see whatever grade is marked on the left-hand side. It'll say first quarter average. You've got an actual number there. I took the screenshot. This was early before there were any grades that were put in. All right. When you log on to Blackboard on a desktop, any browser, on the left-hand side, you'll see My Organizations. That school-wide announcements is a general repository for stuff we want to share with the Bergen community, but not the entire world. So we won't put it on our website, we'll put it here. Right? So exam schedules, we might put permission slips, anything that is just for students and or parents. All right? So that'll go there, and you all have access to that because you're an observer. Everybody sees that. On the right-hand side will be a list of all the classes. On the left will be any announcements that teachers have posted for those classes. So you'll see a running list of announcements. Generally, teachers, when they post announcements, most of them will send an email. Blackboard, by default, anytime a grade is posted, anytime content is posted, the students will get an email by default that they can't turn off. I force that. So every time an assignment's posted or something's due, or there's a grade that's been posted, they'll get an email that says something's happened in one of your classes. Right? PowerSchool is our student information system. The main thing we use PowerSchool for is a schedule and for discipline. A couple people asked about attendance, and if you see when you go on, it says attendance been disabled. We have found that a lot of people don't differentiate well between daily attendance and meeting attendance. So you might have 6 classes a day plus homeroom, and let's say you were there for 5 out of 6, you might have been in guidance. So we get, well, why was my kid absent, for one period and not present, for that particular period and so forth. So we found it's easier that we don't publish the attendance. Okay? If you have direct questions about attendance, Mrs. Season, the main officer is in charge of attendance. You'd be more than happy to answer specific questions. Okay? But on the report cards and on the progress reports, we do a cumulative attendance. You'll see how many days that they were absent and days that they were late. We put that on every progress report and every report card we send out. Their schedule is up here. There's a weekly schedule with times. Friday's a mass schedule, so the times will look different. Their matrix schedule is also up there, so by day they can see their period rotation. Okay? By now they've gone through cycles, so they already know no class meets the same time 2 days in a row. The last thing about PowerSchool, when you create a PowerSchool parent account, you've got credentials for that. There's a, generally the access ID is your last name, and graduation year, and the word family, unless you have a long last name. Generally, I differentiate between the student and the password. This is how you link to your son's account. Right? So you have an access ID and access password, which are case sensitive. Right? So after you create your account in PowerSchool, you then link to your son. Right? So they're not your actual ID and password. They are the ways that you link. There's a lot of other stuff that you've heard that their kids are using exam software for computer-based testing, Turnitin, all their textbooks, okay? So they're finagling potentially a couple different accounts and different passwords. They have to check their Google email all the time, okay? Their school email is given to them for that purpose. It's not something they look at every other day. It should be on their phones, on their looking at it all the time, all right? And that's how teachers will communicate with them. That's how the school will communicate with them, all right? So it's really, and the guidance counselors, they have a guidance pack all the time, all right? I think, yeah. If you have questions, I'll stick around. If you need password help, ID help, to the left, down the hallway to the left again, to the IT office, and someone down there can help you, and we'll stay till we get every question or problem answered, all right? Thank you for coming, and questions I can take, and if not, have a good night. Thank you.
I know, but
They
she's
should be
doing
looking at it.
Yes.
They have a first initial, full last name, last year of graduation here, and birth count, which they should have covered already. We covered that the first day.